As you're studying for your linear equations algebra test, think from the perspective of the teacher. What do they want to test you on? What concepts do they really want you to understand? And how can they ask you questions to test your understanding of that? Well, we can start by looking at the equation. We recognize that we have two constants, slope m and y-intercept b. We also have two variables, y and x. So we're going to go over 9 concepts and 9 questions at a high level that your instructor may test you on. And in future videos, we'll focus on each of those different problem sets to see how you can study for each of those different kinds of problems. The 9 different problems that you can be tested on can be broken down to 3 different areas. You can be asked to solve for the linear equation. You can be asked to graph or evaluate a graph, or you can be asked to evaluate conceptual or application type problems. When you're given 2 points, you can be asked to solve for the linear equation. So for example, let's say the points were 2, 6, and 7, 9. You can be asked to plot them, and then from the plot, give a linear equation, or just with these 2 points, give a linear equation. Similarly, you can be given a point like 3, -5, and a slope of 6, and you should be able to graph and get the equation for this point and slope. Or we might give you a point and y-intercept, and you should be able to plot those as well and draw the line and find the equation for that line. And for graphical problems, maybe you're given the equation for a line, such as 4x plus 2, and asked to graph it. Or maybe you're given the graph of a line and asked to solve for the slope and y-intercept, or put it all together and find the equation of the linear equation. Lastly, maybe you're given a graph or the linear equation of this line and asked to solve for either x value given a y value, or given a x value, asked to solve for a y value. The last type of questions that you might be asked are conceptual and application type questions. This requires an even higher level of understanding of linear equations, and you might be asked to compare 2 sets of equations by looking at the slope and y-intercepts. This could be graphically, but a lot of times it's just looking at the equations or just looking at the slope and y-intercepts. How can you compare these graphs? Or maybe graphically you're given 2 lines, or you're given the equations of 2 lines and asked to determine where these lines intersect, or whether or not they do intersect. And the most difficult, but the most applied version is the word problems, where you will be asked to define the linear equation. What is the slope? What is the y-intercept for this calibration or linear interpolation problem? A lot of times you will even need to define what the origin is that relates to this kind of system. Separately, you might be asked to be able to do this effectively. You'll need to understand how changes in slope or changes in the y-intercepts affect a system or design or analysis, and that's really important when you think of engineering design or system test rig building, because then you'll be asked, how do you change the slope in the way you want, or how do you change the y-intercept in the way you want? So we'll look at problems in future videos that help see or show us examples of when this can occur and how we can analyze these types of problems.